Hey guys, so for this one, we're going to go over the timeline of results. And essentially, this is just setting expectations for how long it actually takes to improve, aches and pains, to improve mobility. And there's a little bit of variety to this. When it comes to the general approach, my my general approach with this is you kind of have to take one step removed from how long it took for this to develop or how long this has been going on for. I'll give you an example and break this down for you. So, for example, with chronic issues where they've been happening, kind of slowly came on and things got worse and worse over time, or, maybe you had surgery, had physical therapy for it, but now it's like years down the line and things have just slowly gotten worse as a result of breakdown. Those sorts of scenarios, or even like a degenerative condition. I'll talk a little bit about that here in a bit. Usually what I use is kind of the one step removed rule where, if it's something that took months for you to develop, where it was developing over months, it's going to at least take weeks, for you to see progress. Kind of, I like to say at least that many weeks. So if it's 1 month, you minimum are going to need a week, probably two, before you start to see any improvement. So that's what I'm asking is for consistent, you want to commit to these principles for at least that much time. And then obviously you want to maintain these principles over time so that you can continue to remain free of pain or reduce the pain that you have on a constant level. And so you can extrapolate that at if you have had, a situation where it's developed over years, it's going to take at least months, for you to make significant improvements. You might start to see improvements in the first several weeks, but you don't necessarily want to count on that. If you're somebody who has dealt with pain or dealt with poor mobility, chronic issues over the course of decades, you can expect it might take years for those improvements to really shine through. And this is not, it's not saying that you won't see, some improvements early on, you won't see some improvements, but that is to say that the work required, I do tell people it does almost take that one step removed where, if you've been dealing with a problem for 30 years, you can't expect it to go away in 12 weeks. That's the approach that we really have to take, is like, this is a, years long potentially commitment. If that's your scenario, to improving your health, improving your pain, improving your mobility. And you can see some progress, but you're probably not going to be, if you go into the mindset of, oh, I'm going to be fixed in, 2-3 months, that's the wrong approach. You're going to be disappointed and you're probably going to quit because you're going to say, hey, it's not worth it. I'm not seeing the results. It didn't work for me. And that's simply just a mindset we want to get out of. Thing to think about. And we'll talk about all these different factors, but if you're in a position where, man, lifestyle factors are not ideal. Like if you have young kids or you're caring for young grandkids and they're interrupting your sleep, that probably lengthens and extends and makes it more challenging for you. That might take some, if someone, for example, had full control of their sleep schedule, had no issues with getting to bed at a reasonable hour, didn't have additional stressors, right? Those are the things that are going to lengthen your potential time for recovery. If you're somebody who, has had multiple surgeries, particularly like plates put in or screws put in or nerve damage associated with those surgeries, or even potential nerve, if you had severed nerves or pinched nerves, like those sorts of things, are even neurological conditions like MS. Those are things that are going to extend that timeline for you. It's going to make it more challenging for you. If you have a job that requires you to sit all day, that's another thing that's going to make it probably more challenging for you. Is you have to be realistic about the timeline for your results, and like those are all things that are going to make it slightly more challenging at various levels, depending on what the scenario is, and you know even something as simple as how much stress you're under and how well you manage that. So stress management is one of the things we'll talk about. We'll talk about a few different ways that you can approach that, but you know I put this at the beginning so that anyone going into this can know, like, you have to be realistic about your timeline when it comes to how long am I willing to commit to a movement plan, a plan of reducing the aches and pains, improving my mobility. I want to be realistic about that with people up front so that they understand, yeah, this could be a little bit more of a slog. I'm somebody who's had pain, had dysfunction and mobility problems for 10, 20, 30 plus years. It might be a little bit before you see the results that you're really pleased with and that really have a dramatic impact on your life. So hopefully that's helpful. We'll dive right into sleep next time.